says here we should work in teams. I tend to think of myself as a one-man wolf pack.
You are about to enter Information Overload, a worldwide transmission with Herp Herp Hooray's featured Breeder of the Week. Here's your host, Jason Rossi.
Welcome back to Herp Herp Hooray, a weekly worldwide transmission. I'm your host, Jason Rossi. We are simulcasting on RossiReptiles.com, Buzzsprout, and don't forget to subscribe and download us on iTunes. This week's featured breeder of the week has a ton of cool projects going on. If you frequent bp.net, the name Lady O might ring a bell. I'm pleased to announce First Lady of Herp Herp Hooray, Heather Herps, is this week's special guest. Heather, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
So you just got married. Congratulations. That's great.
Yes, I did. Thank you very much. It's actually been rather trying to keep everything going at the same time. It's put a lot of interesting twists into the snake breeding world for me, but it's been great, and Joel and I have actually been together for a long time, so it's due time for this. So thank you.
No problem. I'm a married man myself, going on 15 years, so good luck.
Wow.
I'm sure you could do it. Yeah,
well, Joel and I have actually been together for 10 before, so we're not quite to 15, but I have no doubt that we'll be there in due time.
Awesome. We'll be kicking it when we're old.
Yes.
So you're also famous, so why don't you tell us how you felt when you made the reptile report?
You know, I have always been paying attention to that since, you know, Robin and his efforts and stuff like that. I know a few people that contribute and do a lot of the stuff for the reptile report. I have been really excited about working specifically with the TSK line and doing the bumblebee. The killer bee was actually has been my goal since the inception of Heather's Herps, pretty much. And when I saw it back in 2005, it was, this is a goal for me. So I've been working on it and started from scratch. I did, you know, pastel to axanthic and spider to axanthic, and kind of grew up with all of that. And so 6 years later, I finally hit on something, and I'm stoked. And I know I'm not the first one to actually do the TSK bumblebee in any way, shape, or form. I actually think John Daig hit on it last year. But hey, you know, I did it for me. So I was really excited, posted it on bp.net, and, you know, got the accolade from Reptile Report, and that's just been great.
It's always nice to hit something your first time anyway.
Exactly.
Better than that.
And you know what's interesting is that clutch was not intended to be what it was. I actually believe, in all of my efforts, I tend to back other animals up with other animals. And the female that I bred was a pastel het axanthic. I had a spider het axanthic that I bred, but I had intentionally tried for super pastel axanthic. So I actually thought, and I wrote on the tub and on the actual box for the incubator, pastel axanthic, or TSK. It was het, sorry, pastel het male to female pastel het. So when I saw the bumblebee, obviously I was a little confused because I was under the impression that it was supposed to just be super pastel axanthics, and there were only 2 eggs in that clutch. So miraculous upon miraculous did I actually end up hitting on the TSK bumblebee. That actually ended up being a male as well. So I don't know who was looking up for me upstairs, but that was definitely a very, very good day for me.
So that little guy's staying with you, I take it?
Oh, absolutely, yes. He's actually now going to be the accumulation of a lot of the other axanthic projects that I've been working on. I have done several things with it, and I'm kind of trying to figure out what the next goal, other than the killer bee, will be for him. So we'll see what happens. He's actually also Poshet albino, so that's going to be an interesting twist, too. So we'll see.
So have you figured out that butter enchi pewter clutch yet?
No. Yes, I have. And actually, it was butter enchi head hypo to pewter. It basically ended up being a cinnamon enchi, a pewter enchi, and a butter pastel enchi were the 3 enchi-ish animals that came out of that clutch. And what's interesting is I was actually kind of surprised about the pewter enchi. It actually doesn't look as nice to me in person as the cinnamon NT does. The pastel kind of washes it out, but then again, they haven't shed yet, so I'm hoping maybe in time, as NTs tend to do, they will grow into their colors. So keep a lookout on the blog for that, because I'm definitely holding a few of those things back for a little bit at least. So.
Yeah, you definitely have a lot going on in your blog. You keep it updated pretty well, I see. It's definitely a lot of information there.
I try. I have to admit, because this year has been the wedding, and we've actually recently moved as well, and just life things have been getting a little busier than usual. I've actually been, unfortunately, not being as consistent as I usually am, but I try as hard as I can to keep it up to date. I missed a couple weeks here and there, and definitely a week of during the wedding planning time, as I'm sure you understand. So there are a little bit of gaps in between if you go back into the history, but now I'm actually getting a lot more things updated, and although the incubator page on my page has yet to be updated completely because I did have a blip there as well, but I'm trying, and I'm trying to be as consistent as I can.
So you didn't blog on your honeymoon? Come on.
Oh, no, I did not. Actually, I'd actually have to go take a look at that, to be honest with you. I more than likely did not, though. Yeah, but I might have talked about it after the fact.
Where'd you guys go?
We went to San Diego, which is pretty local. We didn't do anything off the charts, off the wall, because our wedding itself was actually in Santa Barbara at the zoo. So that in itself was my big thing. You know, anything after that is, you know, whatever. So we had a great time at the wedding. We got to play with giraffes and had pictures with a penguin. So, you know, that was more important to me than a honeymoon. So we might do something later. Actually, my friend Mike Clarkson, who does a lot of the filming in reptile-related industry, he actually is planning a safari, and he's planning it in January, and he's hoping to have people go out, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on with that. So we might make that our honeymoon this upcoming season, so we'll see.
Awesome. Sounds like fun. So what's going on with your weird pastel combinations? Have you come up with anything or working it out?
Well, there's been a little bit of lacking on my part for keeping track of what I've read to what, as I clearly stated in the Bumblebee thing. I have a pastel special that I've been running through a couple of other things, as well as a pastel or super pastel lesser. And this last clutch that I hatched out, unfortunately, could have possibly been both. And what's interesting with the pastel special stuff, just like pastel vanillas and stuff like that, when it's so subtle, it's kind of hard to determine specifically what it is without, you know, immediately out of the egg, unless it's obviously a super, there you go. So I've been having a little bit of time. I've, you know, have had to hold things back longer than I intend to sometimes, just to make sure that I know what it is when I actually put it up for sale. You know, obviously if I make a mistake, then hey, more power to the people who buy a pastel from me and end up getting a pastel special. But I'm trying very hard, and I know what to look for in instances to make sure that I know what it is. But that's kind of where the confusion lies for me, is double clutching or double breeding males and that kind of stuff.
Double fired foot.
Yeah, last year I did the same thing, and it was mainly because I was just so stoked to do specific breedings, but then, you know, some males weren't breeding as much as I'd like. I'd see things, and the males were on other tubs, just on opposite sides. So, you know, in breeding season, you don't want to see that, so you put another male in thinking it's okay. But when you actually get the eggs, then what? What do you actually know what you're getting?